13 played, 11 points now separate Liverpool and Manchester City. Stephen, how big does this moment feel?
Yeah, it's so interesting. I know there's a lot of talk about the difference between the two teams and in points, but it's actually Liverpool are only 9 ahead of Arsenal, but it's so much talk around Manchester City because of what they've done over the last few seasons is that gap that is extended, and it feels like people only still feel like it's Manchester City who can win the league. And is that being a little bit disrespectful to both Arsenal and Chelsea in the distance that Liverpool had to them? But this was a huge win for them. It really was, because we know how strong Manchester City are. But it's not just about that gap of points. It was about how impressive the display was and how dominant it was as well.
Yeah. Mo Salah, Sue, on the score sheet again. Daniel Sturridge in on Super Sunday yesterday. It's time for Liverpool to show him the money. Would you agree? Do they just have to pay him what he wants, give him in the length of contract that he wants and be done with it?
I think you can see it from both sides, can't you? I think you can see it from the club's perspective. They've obviously got Mo Salah's contract. They've also got Virgil van Dijk's contract. They've got Trent Alexander-Arnold's contract. So they're probably pretty entwined with that. You also look at the way that the club deals with contracts. They'll be looking at Mo Salah's age. They'll be looking at the length of contract, the amount of money that he wants. So you can sort of understand that. I think looking at it from the outside and what a unreal footballer Mo Salah is and has been for a number of years, the consistency that he's shown, the numbers that he shows, whether that's goals, whether that's assists, those numbers are going to be quite hard to replicate. The fact that, yeah, you say, well, he's 32 going on to be 33, but he's fit as a fiddle, isn't he? He's so at the top of his game, that the levels aren't dropping at all. So you can look at it from both sides. Of course, Liverpool will want to sign all three for different reasons, but the club also have a way of doing things.
I think this is one of the most difficult sort of contracts to work out. I think from a financial point of view, I think it's probably the easiest deal to do, because he generates his own income into the club because of his stature around the world and the shirt sales. From a commercial point of view and working the contract out, that's probably the hardest thing to negotiate within the contract between the player and the club. I think the other side of it is do they think they've got a suitable replacement either within the club or someone that they've seen on the market that they think they can bring in? If they haven't, they sign a new they re-sign him, quite simple as that. If they feel like there's someone out there, and then they can take a large sum of money from, I think we're all talking about the Saudi Pro League, because that's where the money seems to be. Is that, do they then invest it in that new player to come in and take the reins? But when someone's still racking up the figures he's getting, I mean, the goals and assists are just phenomenal. And I know the guys yesterday on Sky were talking about the distance covered and things like that. This is a different Liverpool system. This is a different way of playing. The only stat that still matters with Mohamed Salah is goals and assists.
It's like when you need a big player to step up, he's your player, isn't he? He's the one that will step up. And it's the fact that he's just been able to do it for the amount of years that he's been able to do it for, and consistently still performing at those levels. So, of course, Liverpool will want to keep hold of him, but it's just about getting that deal right for both parties.
Yeah, because I'm fully aware that when you talk about money and the amounts of money that footballers be aware, especially this time of year, people struggling, that it can become quite obscene, the amounts. Right? But footballers earn what they earn.
Yeah.
So let's do the maths maybe a little pared down a little. So say if you were going to offer him £500 a week, over just to keep it in kind of £500 a week over a 3-year deal. That's £78,000 over your 3-year contract. Yeah, if I've done the maths right. If you were to go out and buy a replacement for Mo Salah, say that's going to cost you £800,000. I think we can add the few noughts on in your head and work it out. That's going to cost you £800,000 to go and get the striker. Then you've got, or the player, the replacement. Then you've got to pay their wages on top. Of course. So even if you're thinking, my goodness, he's asking me for £500,000 a week. Actually, when you do the maths on that, that's going to cost them £78 million. They're going to go out and get a replacement that's £80 million plus the wages on top. It makes sense. in some financial weird world that we live in to pay him those amounts of money each week.
Yeah, it does, and obviously what you're getting is and I never like saying it, but it's a guarantee of your goals and your work rate. And the big thing for him is the durability, to be able to play game after game, and you're not necessarily going to get someone who comes in and is able to do that. Plus, you've got to get someone to settle, to understand the pressure of playing for Liverpool. We've seen it in the past, and with Manchester United, they've gone out and spent big money, and players have struggled to hit the heights because of the pressure that comes with the club. It'll happen at a lot of clubs. So when you look at that side of things, someone who loves the club as well, he seems very settled where he is. I don't think he's in a rush to leave at all. I think he just wants the right type of contract. I think he wants to feel loved. I think probably the element of it is he'll be saying is, I'm super fit, I can play into my late 30s. But from Liverpool's point of view, this is a business. They've got to be sensible of what they do and how they do things, because if they open the doors for him and suddenly say, right, there's a 3-year deal, then everyone knocks on the door. Now, he is Mohamed Salah, and they'll say, yeah, but that's different, that's Mohamed Salah. Oh, so you don't value me the same as, you don't value me as a top asset to the club. That's where you're crossing the lines a little bit, and it becomes a little bit difficult. Now, if you're in the squad, I'd almost expect him to get what he wanted, because he's a genius on the football pitch and he changes games. But players all have a desire to be wanted and feel that they want to be wanted more than anyone else within the squad. And I just think you get a lot of people knocking on the door. So the deal, I still think the deal will get done. It's just the length of contract, I think, will be the sticking point.
Yeah, because I think sometimes, probably, I don't know, you go back in time, 32, 33-year-old, you'd probably say, oh, well, they've probably not got that much time left. But I think nowadays, the players, the way they look after themselves, the sports science, you look at the players now that have played until their late 30s, he looks like a player that could potentially do that and still be reaching the levels that he needs to reach. He's still so hungry. Straight away, he's talking about he wants to win the Premier League, he wants to win the Champions League, he wants to break records, he wants to be the Liverpool legend and go down like that. So he does want to stay. Yeah. It is just about getting that right contract.
Yeah, but a year older, bar 20-odd days, is Virgil van Dijk. So is he next in the queue going, OK, you paid him that? Is that the fear then?
Well, you've got it with Trent as well. Yeah. And I know he's younger, but and I know what you're talking about with the length of contract, but he'll be very similar. He'll have a number in his head that he thinks he's worth. I don't think he'll necessarily put himself in the Mohamed Salah bracket, but he'll feel like he's got a worth. We're talking about him being arguably the best centre-back in world football, or the best that the Premier League's seen. So he'll have a value in his head as well. What are you going to ask, Rob?
I wonder, do footballers really sit in dressing rooms telling each other how much they earn?
No. That's in his own head, he will.
That's the myth, isn't it? Oh, you've given Mo Salah this, and therefore we want that.
Yeah. No. The thing is, as well, that there'll be speculation around what players earn. No one will actually know except for the club and the player, unless they go out and tell someone. That's your business. The one thing that I used to get a little bit annoyed with in changing rooms, or when things was like, oh, he's earning that at another club, or this, that and the other, and you think, well, hang about. When you signed your contract, you were more than happy to sign for that amount. So you can't start moaning suddenly that someone else is on different money or perhaps more money than you. When you walked into that changing room or that office, when you were going to sign your contract, you were more than happy with the figures and the numbers that were put on offer to you. So accept it and get on with it. That's the deal that you've signed. Now, if you feel that 6 months, a year down the line that you've improved, you've got better, and you've become a bigger asset to the football club, and suddenly there's people wanting you, then you can go in and negotiate a little bit more. But that is as and when. You can't suddenly sign a contract and go 2 weeks down the line, such and such is on more, and suddenly get disappointed. That's not the way it works.
I am sure. In fact, I can hear them screaming at their television sets right now, going, forget all that. We want to celebrate a great Liverpool win. They're saying, those Liverpool fans, by the way, I'm referring to, maybe not the Man City fans. So let's talk about the football. First half, Cody Gakpo. He had more touches in the opposition box than the entire Manchester City side combined.